question 20 for RPGaDAY 2016 is, what is the most challenging but rewarding system that you have learned? And if I had to pick one, I'd say that probably for me it would be Deadlands. I don't mean the current Savage Worlds edition of Deadlands, which I do have a copy of. I mean the older original version of it, which it's been a few years since I've played it, so I can't recall the rules exactly, but I remember mad scientists having to make poker hands to create inventions. I remember there being poker chips used to both determine XP, and you could spend them during the game as sort of like fortune points to get yourself bonuses. If you were one of the sort of people of faith, the priests, etc., you could spend fate chips to call down miracles. I also remember whenever a sort of particularly triumphant event was occurred, that you completed a major quest, a gold fate chip got put into the pot, and if you drew that, basically playing that was like a license to just have all manner of like crazy shit take place. Like if you're a priest, that was like you threw down that gold fate chip, and that was like the hand of the divine reached down and took a personal interest in your character for the better. But on the other side, there was also black fate chips that could get introduced into the pot, which meant great things for the GM, not quite so great for the players. And I remember it being quite a complicated system. To me, it always seemed more like a number of different systems that someone had sort of crazy glued together and then sort of gone, yeah, I think that'll work, there you go. And it's not normally the sort of system I'd go for, because I tend to like game systems with strong mechanics, where it has a strong central core mechanic and everything else sort of comes off that, and you don't have a lot of separate subsystems and sort of bloated rules that you need to learn in order to play the game. However, I do remember having immense fun whilst playing Deadlands, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure I never understood 100% of the rules. But I remember the system worked very well in that sort of Weird West framework, because obviously card gaming being a big thing in the Wild West, making a poker hand seemed very in character, throwing down the poker chips, and this was years before I knew I used poker chips of fate or anything like that. Throwing down poker chips and hands of cards really helped emphasise that Western feel, and that was twinned with more normal dice mechanics. Like I said, I'd love to go into more detail about the mechanics, but it's probably been about 5+ years since I've actually played the game, so I can't really remember them 100%. But I do remember that because the mechanics seemed very appropriate and they worked in tandem with the actual background and the game setting, it almost didn't matter that the mechanics were a little bit clunky, a little bit bloated and crazy glued together. They just seemed so appropriate. And also I was playing with a good group at the time, so it made the whole experience really enjoyable. And I must say, since then I've not picked up a complicated system, or what I consider to be a crunchy system, and had the same level of enjoyment out of it that I got out of the original edition of Deadlands. And for those of you who've never played Deadlands but who like westerns and horror, or one or the other, I highly recommend having a look at the Savage Worlds version of it, which I believe is currently still available, since it has the same great background but with a far more streamlined rule system. So there you go, that's my answer for question 20. The most challenging but rewarding system I've learned was the original iteration of the Deadlands system. I hope to see you tomorrow for question 21. Take care and happy gaming.